Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Noble, and today we're going to be doing the Gaia deck profile. So this is one I'm actually really excited about because I loved Gaia the Fierce Knight growing up, and it's really cool to finally see him get support because, like, the biggest problem was he looked cool. He was like a sidekick main monster or something like that. But, you know, why would you summon him when you just do Summon Skull with more attack and one less tribute? It made no sense. But it's cool that this deck's now somewhat playable and it got support. I was actually thrilled when I pulled this stuff from Rise of the Duelist. And the deck's super cheap. Like, you can make this deck, like, really, really cheap. Nothing in this deck is expensive except one card in the extra deck, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, guys, let's get right on into this. If you're here, there's a giant red button on my channel. It says subscribe on it. Go ahead and hit that. I really appreciate that. If you watch this video and you do like it, hey, give it a thumbs up. I'd love that and will. And while you're here, also, right after you hit that giant red button, hit the smaller button next to it that allows you to get notifications for this channel so you don't miss a single thing. So first up, we are playing 3 Soldier Gaia, the Fierce Knight, which I do love the artwork and all these new ones. They are really cool. So Soldier Gaia, the Fierce Knight, has no horse, which is the first thing I noticed. He's just footing it, man. He has a quick effect. He's 2600 attack, 2100 defense. You can tribute 1 Dragon Fusion monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 attack position monster on the field and change it to defense position. You can tribute this card, add 1 level 7 or higher warrior monster from your deck to your hand, accept another copy of this card, and you can only use this effect each effect of Soldier Gaia the Fierce Knight once per turn. So he can change the tap position of some things. Honestly, in my opinion, he's kind of the worst out of the new ones. So if you wanted to make room for something, I would bump him down to 2, perhaps. But it is new, and like honestly, I do use him quite a bit so far. So I am running him at 3. But like I said, you could probably get away with 2 of him if you wanted to do so. Next up, we're playing Gaia the Magical Knight. This one does have a horse. This one has same stats as the original, 2300, 21 defense. This card is also always treated as Gaia the Fierce Knight card, which is cool. If you control no monsters or your opponent controls a monster with 2300 or more attack, you normal summon this card without tributing. If this card is normal or special summon, so if it hits the field at all, you can special summon a 1 level 5 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard defense position. Now, that's a really good effect, and that's a hard once per turn effect, but that is really cool just because it's pretty easy to get this thing out, just being able to normal summon it. Then a tributing thing, because you're not tributing 2 monsters to bring this thing out anyway. And then once it hits the field, you'll be able to bring out another body from the field. It's going to be a dragon, potentially going to your fusion place from there. So that is really cool. Next up, I'm running 3 Gaia the Fierce Knight Origins. This is the level 4 of the new support. What this one does is this card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a warrior monster, which is really neat. You can only use each of the following effects of Gaia the Fierce Knight Origins once per turn. You can send 1 level 5 or higher monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. During the battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Then target 1 monster on the field whose original attack is different from its original attack, and its attack becomes its original attack. So that's really cool because the Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons, uses effect more than once, really, if he comes back boosted up. But if he uses effect and his attack is down, you can just banish this from your graveyard and then recover that attack and then go on from there. So that is really nice. I'm also playing kind of like a tech, I don't know. But Lord Gaia the Fierce Knight, I really like this one. It stays with the Gaia theme and he's cool. He's a level 7 body. It's easy to get out into the field. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And he has a secondary effect that if another monster was to hit the field, if an opponent's monster was to hit the field with an attack higher than this card, you can make this attack gain 700 attack until the end of the turn, which is really cool. But he is useful just going to some rank 7 plays. We do play some rank 7 Exceed monsters. Next up, I'm playing the Turtle, 3 Artillery Catapult Turtle. Konami really fixed the problem with the other one because it was level 5. This one's level 4, and he has a great effect to where you can tribute 1 monster, including this card, and you special summon a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster, or a level 5 dragon monster from your hand or deck, which is really awesome to be able to just go straight into your fusion plays. Speaking of dragons, we are playing 3 Cursed of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon. What this one does is if this card hits the field at all, if it's normal or special summon, you can search out a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Gaia the Dragon Champion and its text. And then also if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Gaia the Dragon Champion that you control and negate the effects of face-up monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it until the end of this turn. And it's a hard once per turn, but the really cool thing is you can bump this thing's attack up a lot, and it's not going to be hard for your opponent to not control anything with a higher attack than that. So that's really cool. I'm actually playing one Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning because it's actually pretty easy to get out into this deck because you control. I mean, you have a lot of lights and darks as well. You only have 3 lights, but you do have a lot of darks, and honestly, it hasn't been an issue for me so far. With testing this deck, it just has not. I've been able to get into it pretty much every single duel, and it's just another boss monster your opponent has to deal with. They can out it because it have a built-in protection. That's fine, but if not, hey, you can banish something, so that's really cool as well. And then for the hand traps, I'm only playing 3 Ash because that's just what I chose to play. If you'd rather get rid of the BLS and maybe get rid of one of the soldiers and then the Lord of the Lord guys, you could play some Nibiru or something else. Kind of just depends, but the hand traps are definitely very flexible. Alright, so that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's move on into the spells. So, speaking of hand traps, I'm running 3 Call by the Grave because this deck is very susceptible to getting hand traps. So if your opponent hits you with a hand trap when you're trying to search, it can't really power through them a lot, like Thunder Dragons could or something, so you're probably going to have to pass a turn to unless you just drew into like a really great hand. So 3 Call by the Grave is pretty important. I'm also running 3 Spiral Fusion, which is a really cool card. You fusion summon 1 Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck. Using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if you special summon Gaia the Dragon Champion by this effect, it gains 2600 attack, and it can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, which is really cool because this counts as Gaia the Dragon Champion. I'm also running 3 Galloping Gaia. This is the field spell, so what this one does is your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase while Gaia the Dragon Champion is in your monster zone. You can activate one of the following effects. You can reveal 1 Gaia the Fierce Knight monster in your hand and add 1 level 5 dragon monster from your deck to your hand, or you can reveal 1 level 5 dragon monster in your hand and, you guessed it, add 1 Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from your deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So that is really cool. And speaking of field spells, I'm also playing 3 Gateway to Chaos, which is originally Blackluster, but it's really cool because it basically adds us upon activation. When this card is activated, you can add a Blackluster Soldier, Ritual monster, or a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from your deck to your hand. So it gives you that additional search, and you don't have to keep it on the field. You can just activate Galloping Gaia and then go from there. But it is cool to have that additional search, and it looks really pretty. And because we want to see these field spells quickly, we're also playing a Terraforming. If you want to play set rotation, you could do that, but I kind of like Terraforming a little bit better. But it's completely preference, whatever you want to do. I'm also running a Monster Reborn because it is just a great card. And then a Rhoda, but the only Rhoda target we have is the Gaia the Fierce Knight Origins, but it's fine because we're basically playing a 4th copy of that card, and that's totally fine. So that's it for the spells, guys. I almost played Raigeki just to give this deck a little bit more destructive power, but I didn't really have the room for it. But if you wanted to do that, that'd be a pretty good idea, honestly, in my opinion. So for the traps, I'm running 2 of the Spiral Reborn. This card is really cool. I like it a lot. You target level 7 or lower dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if you special summon a Gaia the Dragon Champion, which is this bad boy, by this effect, your opponent cannot target it with card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by their card effects. So it gives this thing the protection it needs. If your opponent destroys it and you're like, oh, if he brings it back out, it's going to be easy to get rid of. Nah, bruh, you wrong. Now it can't be targeted and it can't be destroyed by card effects. So you got to smack over it. But guess what? It's probably going to have a big body. So yeah, this is a really cool card. It helps out a lot. I'm also playing 2 Spiral Discharge. For those of you who are wondering where that spell was, Spiral Spear Strike, I don't have any. And they weren't going to come in for a while. I did order some. So if you want to play that, that's fine. I probably would play it. Like, I definitely would play it, but I don't have them yet. That's why it's not in here, for those of you who are wondering that. This is literally because I don't have it. But so Spiral Discharge is also cool. While Gaia the Dragon Champion is in your monster zone, your opponent's monsters can only target Gaia the Dragon Champion for attacks. When an attack is declared involving your Gaia the Dragon Champion, you can target 1 card on the field and pop it and destroy it. And it's a once per turn, so it is really cool. It just basically makes everything oriented around Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons, aka Gaia the Dragon Champion. And then lastly, I'm running 3 Grave Digger's Trap Hole. That's kind of a weird one to play, but I actually really like this just to kind of monitor your opponent's monster effects. But if you wanted to play Impermanence instead, I didn't really want to make this too much of an expensive deck. I know Grave Digger's Trap Hole isn't exactly a cheap card, but it is cheaper than Impermanence. But you can play whatever you want at the spot. But I just like Grave Digger's Trap Hole. It's really fun to hit my opponent with it. Alright, so that's actually it for the main deck, guys. Let's move on into the extra deck. So for the extra deck we're playing, you didn't see this coming. There's no way you saw this coming. 3, Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons. So this one's cool. Like I said, this is treated as Gaia, the Dragon Champion, while it's on the field. You can only use each of the following effects of Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons, once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can target one other card on the field. This card loses exactly 1600 attack, and if it does, destroy that card. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain 2600 attack. So just a lot of attack manipulation and a lot of advantage happening off that. This is really fun to bring this card out because you have so many ways to just like get this card's attack back to its original attack, and just giving it protection and stuff. It's really fun. I'm also playing a Sky Galloping Gaia, the Dragon Champion. This one's the most expensive one. It's like $10 for some weird reason. I guess it just got bought out because of the Gaia support. I'd probably run this at 2, but I didn't feel like dropping 20 on this, so I'm only running 1. But what it does, this card's name becomes Gaia the Dragon Champion while it is on the field. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Spiral Spear Strike from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which would be nice if I actually had them. And when this card declares an attack on an opponent's monster, you can change the battle position of that opponent's monster, which is really cool. It just sets up for that piercing damage. So that is nice. I'm running 2 Gaia Dragon. The Thunder Charger, I just kind of want to run more of the Gaia stuff because he just had a lot of versions. You could bump this down to 1. Like what he does is he does piercing damage. That he has a built-in piercing damage. That's what he does. But it is fun to summon this and hit your opponent with it successfully. That is a lot of fun. Like, why did I just get with this? It's because Gaia, man. Speaking of rank 7s, I'm running a Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, a Red Eyes Flare Metal. If you want to run more Flare Metal, like if you're like confident you can get more on the board just to burn your opponent for everything they activate, you could do that. And also a number 11 Big Eye, which is great, and just straight up steal something your opponent has. For the links, I'm running a Cross Sheep in the beautiful Ultra Rare. An IP, because it's just IP and it works pretty well with this deck. The Nightmare Package with Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn, and then lastly a Boral Sword just to kind of help go into OTK. I'm only running 1 rank 4 in this one, because you don't poop out a ton of monsters like Fur Hires or something like that, but you can go into Boral Sword, and if you can, he's just a really great thing to go into. So that's actually it for the deck, guys. I do hope you enjoy this. I actually had a lot of requests for this one. A lot of people were really excited about the Gaia support. No, you're not going to be smacking Eldritch in the face with this. You're not going to be topping YCS, but this is a really fun nostalgic deck to play, and I definitely recommend you picking it up, especially since it's super budget, except, like I said, this one, for some reason, this is $10. But other than that, this is a really budget deck to play. Everything else you play in the extra deck is very optional as well. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Like I said earlier, if you're here, if you've made it to this video, to the end of this video, you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe. I would absolutely love that. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.